Viacom released fiscal third quarter earnings 30 minutes ago. It exceeded earnings expectations but fell slightly short of Wall Street's revenue consensus numbers. Don Yacktman is president and co-chief investment officer at Yacktman Asset Management. His $2.3 billion Yacktman fund has outperformed 97% of funds with similar objectives in the past 5 years. Don is joining us now from Austin, Texas. Don, so glad to have you with us this morning. Viacom is your eighth largest holding. Is there anything in Viacom's third quarter numbers that would make it move it up on your list?
It depends on where the prices are today. I would say, you know, that's really what it depends on. And given how strong it was, it'll probably move up, and usually we like to buy things when they're going down.
I was going to say, Don, I know you're more of a value investor. You're basically looking at these companies, just how expensive are they, which makes a lot of sense. I know you said you're not trying to get strategic position. You're just looking at cost. There's a smart way to go. Obviously, you can tell that by your fund's performance. But Viacom's core networks seem to be the gems: Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, MTV. Is there anything in the fundamental story that would make you rethink your usual strategy?
Not really. You've hit it. I think in both this case and in the case of News Corp, the cable TV business is where the action is, and where the dependable sweet spot where, you know, a bigger share of the company is going to be.
Viacom's PE is around 15. Is that fair value for you?
Well, we tend to look at it a little differently. We look at forward rates of return. In other words, if you buy it and hold it for, say, like a 10-year period, what kind of a rate of return would we expect to have? And this one's still obviously good enough for us to have a fair position.
Now, by those metrics, it seems like you still like News Corp better. It is your second largest holding. I'm taking a look at their P. I just heard you say that's not really what you're focused on, but 13.5, and we know News Corp stock down a little bit more than 2% year to date so far. Would you consider adding, looking at its, at least by traditional metrics, a little cheaper?
Well, you know, in part of the other problem here is just that is that we're getting a lot of new assets in. So in the sense that if we don't add, we're diluting out ourselves. So that has to be taken into account. But in the case of News Corp, I think the dynamics are a little stronger, and you have better interest rate coverage. But I think you also have more generic growth in News Corp than you have in Viacom. So in some ways, I think News Corp, that's why it's higher on the list than Viacom,
Don, yeah, I mean,
as well as the valuation.
You've made the comment that even in a challenged economy, people don't tend to give up their cable channels, do they?
That's correct.
And that's
and in both cases, there are a lot of eyeballs watching the channels of both News Corp and Viacom.
All right, Don, thanks so much for your time. Don Yacktman joining us there. He is the president and co-chief investment officer from Yacktman Asset Management.